In this video, we're going to discuss how I built the most extensive and fluid traversal system in Unreal Engine 5. This exact system got over 1 million views on all platforms. It got featured on 80 level 2 times, and people in comments say that this is what Assassin's Creed could have been if they worked more and if they had spent more time. And I'm going to break down exactly how I built it. Not a tutorial, you won't be simply able to copy paste this into your own project. This is opposite of progress. My intent and goal here is that you understand my thinking behind every decision I made. Simply put, strategy and architecture matter more than the lines of code. Engineering, the software architecture, is equal to mind and brain. This is what gets the project to succeed in long term. Here are our metrics. 700, almost 700 views on one reel, then 500k almost on the second reel, then on YouTube short 100k, and on LinkedIn, both videos combined 8,000 likes almost. LinkedIn is a bit different style. You can get so viral that your post gets like 600k views and 20,000 likes. It's a bit different, but still it's very solid for LinkedIn itself. And then we got over 1 million only on Instagram with total of 44k likes. Then we got 2 articles on 80 level. They posted themselves. Saba Danelia showcased some interesting projects, shared a new game prototype. And let me simply give you a play of this game. This is our character. And this level, this traversal gym, I started building over like 2 years ago. And this game evolves every single day. It incorporates all Assassin's Creed style movement systems like traversal on wall with leaps and just short climbs, like here. We got additional pipe climbing, transitioning from pipes to ledges and vice versa, as well as a lot of miscellaneous actions just like this. Camera system here is still prototyping. We are working on a new camera system after all this time, and it's still work in progress. This is that exact video that went viral on LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. Here we have the pipe climbing, old camera system, the jumps, the ledge climbing, corners, ejects, then beam jumps. These are work in progress animations for parkour starters, then transition to wall climb, explode the pipe, then there is this jump on the bar, explode, and slide down. So let's dive in right away. First question that everyone asks, why not use marketplace assets? I've seen something exactly like this on Fab. I get a few times these comments on YouTube and Instagram, both of them. And this is the exact parkour system they refer to. And here are 2 points. This one uses that exact few animation packs from Fab, so same animes. This is one similarity, and second one, this is not that polished. It has those features, it has some of the mechanics, but it is not that polished. But still, we should give credits to this system because it's quite superb. Now, my specific problems with assets. Here is exactly what happens with them. The sequence of actions. You buy an asset, perfect. You plug it into a standalone project, which means a project that is empty and super fresh. You plug it in your game. That's not possible. That's not happening because there are a few caveats behind this. And then you need to change one thing. That's not happening either because changing one thing result in breaking 10 other things. Down the line, you simply realize this whole system, this whole plugin and template was built around assumptions that don't match your project at all. Though with Scratch, on the other hand, you are in full control of every aspect and detail. The problem with assets specifically is they're usually unmaintained framework and unsustainability. Marketplace assets are not really that bad because they can be used very wisely. If you are beginner or mid-level, you can purchase them, dissect them, understand them, and build then your own version based on the knowledge you got from those assets and templates. But using them without understanding the architectural mistake they make, that's bad in your own project. So I built this one from scratch, not because I wanted to, but because I had to, for reliability and long-term success of the game. If the game is large scale and long-term, this is the most significant detail that has the most weight. Every system in this traversal, climbing, vaulting, wall running, ledge detection, any of it is built modular first, the principle of solid. Let's follow this arrow and go a bit deeper to explain why assets specifically and templates are so fundamentally wrong. When you buy an asset, you are buying someone else's decisions, their architecture, their class structure, their coding habits, their mistakes. It's their own, not yours. The developer had a completely different vision. Their thought patterns are completely different and separate from yours. Different standards and often a shallow understanding of how production level systems actually work. I don't say this specifically for all the assets on the marketplace, but many of them have very surface level code which gets demolished and destroyed in real project under the stress. The developer of the asset built his own way and thought that was right. And that doesn't necessarily mean it is right for you or whoever that asset buys. You plug this asset into your own project, and there are two systems now. Two different philosophies collide. It's your own and then the creator of the asset. Classes conflict, no systems communicate clearly, and this inevitably happens. Clan says, just change one thing. You touch one variable and 10 systems break. Because you're not working inside your own logic anymore. You don't understand. It is foreign to you. You're trapped inside a stranger's mind, reverse engineering weeks of their decisions just to make one safe edit. Every new problem costs more hours, and those hours convert into more spent and wasted money. Though from scratch, none of this exists. The scratch is guarantee of successful fulfillment of the game for long term, even in short term, to be honest. Every line of code answers to one architecture, your own, the one that was decided before the project even began, the strategy. One philosophy, one standard. You change something and you know exactly what you changed and what it affects. You and your client have total control, scalability, and ultimate reliability because everything answers to a single strategy and structure that was planned ahead. Project will exactly be as you expected and even beyond the expectations in terms of quality. Okay, let's dive a bit deeper on what modular first actually means. Each system was built in isolation, like an API. API basically in this case means that this thing, the traversal, has its own component as has only one job, to handle all traversal's actions. We can just cut out that and put into another project. It will work just expected because it built like API. Don't need to change or touch anything, just put it there and it works. As far as this is your own project, obviously, and your own philosophy. The mistake I see over and over is beginners build systems inside player character class. They don't build like API and they ignore the principle of solid, which means that code or blueprint doesn't really matter. Everyone just drops all the logic of inventory, equipment, traversal, combat inside player character and they call it a day. This is an impact on performance, software architecture, and they ignore long-term sustainability of the game. It eventually will fail because of this wrong structure from the very beginning. Imagine like a house. If the house is built on bad, terrible foundation, if the foundation of the house is fragile, like this, it has cracks, house will be destroyed within several years. That's going to happen within several months in the project. Every traversal action is a modular piece. This means that each piece knows nothing about others, but they are all connected to a shared architecture, in this case a function in the class. Architecture knows both exist and handles the math calcs to determine best match for specific scenario. For example, I'm doing a vault, right? I'm running, this is the character, and I'm going to do a vault over this obstacle. By given mathematical calculations with many choices all along, the system eventually will determine that this is exact scenario to play that specific vault animation, not mental animation, not jump animation, but vault animation. That's exactly why it is fluid, not just for good animations. Those help and they are truly important. The code can be amazing, but without perfect animations, it just won't look right. But also because the architecture that was designed for actions to chain without knowing about one another and execute flawlessly. Especially with new motion matching and post search, they do very hard work, and also the animation sequence length has significant weight. Here is an example where animation has great length, and this enables freedom of blend, which means that it's not cut off, for example, over here. And what I see in many marketplace assets is that they don't have excess frames, and lacking those excess frames, that causes cutting in blend, which results in very snappy action. With larger animation sequence, we have flexibility to blend wherever and whenever we want, and we can control how smooth it is. Another example here, these are custom animations, and these animations are from the marketplace, and in the actual video, you can understand how junky it is. Let me clarify the sequence of the actions. First of all, we start with a function and we press a button. For example, it is space. I check whether there is something in front of the character, and this is just basic example. I check whether there is something in front of character. Then I understand how high this thing is from the ground, and I understand how deep this thing is. Deep meaning if it's very large, very long, very wide, or not so. I then assess the angle, let's call it alpha, and based also on player input, I determine whether it should climb, mantle, vault, or do something specific. As an example over here, I can just vault this because this is not deep and this is a normal height for character. Then this is a bit higher and a bit deeper, but still it is mantleable. But over here, as you can see, this is super deep. Now I can just mantle it and climb on it. Now I have another animation which will be for higher climbing, like in this case. Wall run is triggered particularly when there is a large wall and there is no surface to climb on. So the character simply does this wall run. Some specific actions are, for example, this vault, another vault, then parkour starters, what we call. Yeah, as I said, the camera is work in progress, so it clips quite a lot of times. Now let's dive deeper. The pretty clips don't show the real work. Clips help you assess how complicated the system can be and can look overall, but for non-technical person, it is a bit hard to understand what the work was involved behind the scenes, the years of hard work. The real work is edge cases mostly. What happens when the player hits a ledge at a weird angle? That's an option. Or if player is a bit too down or too up? What happens if the wall has curves? What if there are two climbable surfaces overlapping for different actions? And what if player just spams mid-transition? For this one, I came up with two solutions, and recently I discovered a better method using gameplay tags for Unreal Engine. So we would have few gameplay tags, for example, for action state, for freeze state, for cooldown state, and then applying them specifically on the character and runtime checking whether it's active or not. Every single one of these will break your system if you do not plan for them. I spent more time on exactly those edge cases and bug fixing instead of on actual traversal mechanics. From the very start, take few days to outline the strategy of development. What are the systems, actions, and their philosophy, what they mean and what they are meant for, what they're designed. With clear path and strategy, workflow becomes neat and organized. Defined architecture reduces hurdles and potential problems. You have to think ahead, and this is key for long-term run and long-term success. I'll keep repeating this. Without this, project becomes fragile, and that's the exact problem with assets. They were built without thinking for your specific needs beforehand. Here's where the most traversal systems die actually. You build climbing, it works, then you build vaulting, it works, you build wall run, it works, and the client then says, we need swimming, we need rope swinging, we need characters to slide under the gaps, and your entire system collapses. Because every new actions means that you need to rebuild your complete system. That's not scalable. The way I build the system is that adding a new traversal action is simply a matter of few hours, not days. The new action, you just plug it into a shared calculation function, like the one I described over here with the sequence. Then we define rules. Selection is handled via chooser, and then edge cases follow the same rules. That's what scalable architecture actually means, that it comes from experience and patience. The more you build, the more problems you face in any kind of project. Once you solve them first time, the next time you know ahead how they are solved, and you will account for them and consider them before even starting. Studios don't work with me specifically because I can make character climb a wall. Well, I can do that obviously, but there is deeper meaning behind this. The studios specifically work with me because climbing still works 6 months later when the project is 10x more complex, because of the long-term vision and pre-handled possible issues using years of experience. Do the same. Prototype SIS, and if you don't know what is SIS, I explained it in few previous of my videos. Work day and night, and with even just a year, you face so many problems, you know them before they even occur in new projects. You'll be trustworthy to handle large-scale game dev simply because you understand how the systems operate and what scales them. The clients work with you because they feel and they perceive that you are trustworthy to handle their long-term vision, the big game they are building. That's the only reason they work with you.